Reverend Dr. Jack Mendelson. Here in this sanctuary of ancient dreams and wisdom and beauty, we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged, renewed, to be helped in our own continuing struggles for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and the doers. In the face of cynicism, darkness, brutality around us and within, we seek to align ourselves with a living community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act rather than simply adjust and succumb. Here, we invite the spirit of our own humanity and the healing powers under, around, through, and beyond it to give us the nerve and grace, the toughness and sensitivity to search out the truth that frees and the life that maketh all things new. The Reverend Adam Marvel Gray is a Jacksonville native who serves as the lead pastor of Riverside Church at Park and King. It is an ecumenical church in the Baptist tradition that is inclusive, progressive, open, and affirming. They embrace Jesus' message that calls for them to work to tackle intolerance, hatred, and oppression. He is passionate about fomenting a church movement that is radically inclusive, intersectionally justice-seeking, and sustainable in a postmodern future. Reverend Gray brings his experience from many years of pastoral ministry in churches both large and small, formal and contemporary. Today, Reverend Gray will not only deliver our sermon, but will also share his musical gifts with us in voice and piano. We welcome Reverend Gray to sing our opening song, Beautiful Things.
All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. And all this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. And all around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things. You
My name is Alyssa Halliday, your substitute worship leader today, and I welcome you all to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, or as we abbreviate our name, BBUUC. We extend a special greeting to those who are guests or newcomers today. We hope that you will stop by our welcome table for a name tag so we can greet you by name and for information about our church and the Greater Unitarian Universalist denomination. You can also find out about our regularly scheduled Learn About UU and Learn About BBUUC classes. Feel free to ask any of our members any questions you may have, and we invite you to stay after the service for fellowship, including coffee and other beverages, refreshments, and conversation. You can even check out the Artist Corner, which features the work of our own Howard Miller this month. We would love the opportunity to meet you and welcome you in person. Please see your order of service, our monthly newsletter, our weekly emails, and the bulletin boards for information on the many activities and events in our community. Thanks also to all of our volunteers who make our Sunday worship, religious education classes, and fellowship hour happen. Our service today is dedicated to our ICare Justice Ministry. ICare is a Jacksonville-wide interfaith coalition for action, reconciliation, and empowerment, of which our church is an active member. It is a network of 38 Jacksonville congregations working across racial, religious, and socioeconomic lines to pursue justice. ICare holds public officials accountable for issues of fairness affecting our community through direct action and the power of organized people. This year, we will be asking Mayor Donna Deegan and Sheriff T.K. Waters for compassionate treatment for people suffering from mental illness, for safe neighborhoods, free from crime and violence, and for protection of our homes, businesses, and neighborhoods from sea level rise. We hold this worship service each year to lift the spirit of this ministry. We conduct the service a short time before the Nehemiah Assembly, which will be held this year on Monday, April 15th from 6:45 to 8:45 p.m. at the Abyssinia Missionary Baptist Church in Jacksonville. We even have a bus that leaves from here at BBUUC at 5:30 p.m. that evening, if you want to enjoy a fun ride there together and safely back after the assembly. You can get more details about ICare and the Nehemiah Assembly on the table at the front entryway. We encourage as many of our members and friends as possible to attend, as there is strength in numbers. We would like to recognize our fantastic ICare Ministry Chair, Carol Hawkins, who does a terrific job of organizing and leading our ICare Ministry Network members and engaging with folks from our congregation and other ICare congregations in listening, research, and action. Carol, would you please stand so that we can recognize you? Now, we would like to recognize our ICare Network members who have done an outstanding job of inviting all of our members to participate in the Nehemiah Assembly, as well as engage in this important social justice work. So can I please invite all of my ICare Network members to please stand so that we can recognize you. Thank you for all of your important hard work. We are about to enter sacred time, made so by our presence and intention. Please turn off or silence your phones, and as you do, I invite each of us to be here in this moment. Since Unitarian Universalists don't have a creed or dogma, what holds us together as a community is covenant. These are the promises we make to one another about who we will be as a faith community and how we will be in relationship with one another as we practice our values. Creating beloved community requires intention and practice. Our covenant articulates our intention. We recite the covenant that we created as a congregation to help us live into the practice. Our covenant is printed in your order of service, and I invite you to speak the words together in unison. Please join me. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Please rise and body your spirit for our call to worship. The words are printed in your order of service. I would like to invite Carol Hawkins to come forward and light our chalice this morning as I share the words of Pat Wyrie Lichty. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring life itself to threatened people. We light it this morning as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. Thank you, Carol. I'd like to invite our song leaders to come forward for our hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land. And I would invite the conversation to please rise and body your spirit. We'll be singing all 4 verses. Number 121, We'll Build a Land. Today is the first Sunday of the month, which means it's our Pennies From Heaven Day. This is a time when we take up a special collection to support a local charity or service organization chosen by our Lifespan Religious Education classes. This quarter's designee is JASMYN, Jacksonville Area Sexual Minority Youth Network. JASMYN supports young people ages 13 to 23 and works to create a safer, more affirming community for them in Northeast Florida. JASMYN supports and empowers LGBTQ young people by creating safe space, providing health and wholeness services, and offering youth development opportunities, while bringing people and resources together to promote equality and human rights. LGBTQ young people are affirmed in their identities, confident in their futures, and are a valued asset in the Northeast Florida community. Please consider donating any loose change or extra bills as you are willing and able. I now invite our song leaders to come forward as the congregation rises in body or spirit to sing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit, and we will sing all 3 verses, and it's a page turner. Do you realize that in just a few weeks, on the 5th of May, our church will celebrate its 34th anniversary? This church has meant so much to me, as I hope it has to you. And so as we prepare to pass the plates for our offering, I remind you all to take the plate and pass it to your neighbor. Whether you choose to contribute at this time or not, or whether you choose to give by using our QR code or website link. For as we pass the plate, we participate in this important ritual. Give what you will for the church that meant so much to those who came before us, for our congregation today, and for the church that will mean so much to the people we will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. I now invite our offertory ushers, David Rulison and Ted Clibsby, to come forward for our offertory plates to accept your gifts. After the offering, I invite you all to rise and body your spirit and join me in the offertory hymn, Spirit of Life, number 123, in your gray hymnals. We are happy to have Reverend Gray with us this morning from one of the 38 fellow ICare Network congregations, Riverside Church at Park and King. And we know he and his congregation work alongside us in this important ministry. He will share a reading followed by his message for us today, and never give up. Reverend Gray, the pulpit is yours.
Normally people clap when I stop talking. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pastor Adam Gray. All of this reverend thing makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but so much respect. This is a lovely congregation, and I'm so glad to be here today. I bring you greetings from the Riverside Church at Park and King, established in Riverside in 1908. As Riverside Baptist Church. We are an ecumenical church in the Baptist tradition where we start every service by saying all are welcome and all means all. Very similar to the way you start your services. It's been really great to be a part of this service this morning. Some disclaimers, since I am conspicuously a Christian standing in a UU church. Right. Here are my disclaimers as they are important. Baptists, at least the good ones, are also non-creedal. We are also a covenant church that is bound not by what we believe about God, but we are bound by what we choose to do together, the kind of community that we want to create. If you're interested in this, Riverside's Church Covenant is on the website. You should read it because it's interesting how it matches up with the UU Covenant. I was seeing some of that for the first time today. The second thing you'll want to know is I am a Christian Universalist, which is one of the streams that's part of the UU Church. Y'all will understand what that means a lot more than some of the people in my church. Jesus has something to do with it in my mind, but I don't need you to believe that. But all those who seek the divine find the divine, and we are all part of one human family. It gives you a little bit of my perspective here. I am going to hold the reading from the gospel for a little later because I want to tell you a story. In 2018, who remembers 2018? That was back before COVID, what we're calling BC again now. I was part of another DART Center organization called FAST in Pinellas County. ICare stands for the Interfaith Coalition for Action, Reconciliation, and Empowerment. FAST stands for Faith and Action for Strength Together. That's the Pinellas County DART Center organization. And we were working on adult civil citations. Namely, it's dumb to arrest people and go through all of the trouble and all of the expense and all of the jail time and all of the permanent record of an arrest for something as silly as driving with a suspended license. That person is not a danger to anyone. Why are we spending tens of thousands of dollars on this giant system when what we could do is, start where they were going to end up? Because, if you're driving with a suspended license, you end up with at the end of all of that giant court costs, you end up with some community service time and maybe take a class. And so we said, why don't we do an adult civil citation where we can skip all of this life-ruining, super expensive stuff and instead... they could go see a social worker who will say, why don't y'all do some community service and take a class? It's a really good idea, adult civil citations. And we went to Sheriff Terry, his friends call him Racist Bob, because in FAST, and we went to Sheriff Terry, who wouldn't meet with us, who wouldn't give us a straight answer, completely unlike Duval County. And in 2018, we went to him and said, Sheriff Bob, we really want adult civil citations. And this 2,000 people that are filling up this auditorium tonight also want adult civil citations. And he said, no, we're never doing that. We need consequences for adults who commit crimes. Juvenile civil citations is fine, but adults make adult choices and need adult consequences. No, no, no. And shame on you for asking. Oh, you feel the tension now? You feel the tension now? But we just kept knocking. Thank y'all for providing this wonderful piece of wood here for a demonstration today. We just kept knocking. We came back in 2019 and we said, Sheriff Bob, adult civil citations. They're doing it in Orlando, they're doing it in Miami, they're doing it in Tallahassee, they're doing it in Pensacola, and you know what? Those are 4 really different places with 4 really different politics, and it's working there. It's working there. Why can't it work here? And Sheriff Bob said, no, and shame on you for asking. Go away. These 2,000 people that you have behind you, they don't matter. And you feel the tension now, right? 2 years in a row, we had gotten up with 2,000 people, a ton of people power, and we had gone to the sheriff who was standing in a place of injustice, and we had said, this has to change, and he had said, no, and shame on you for asking. And then 2020 happened. We all remember 2020. We're going to remember 2020 forever. And we had to And we had to change our Nehemiah action from 2,000 people in a room to about 500 people in a parking lot with it sitting in their cars. And Sheriff Bob didn't even bother to come to that one. But then in 2021, we were back. And we asked again, a fourth time we asked. This time, socially distanced outside in a giant parking lot of a giant Catholic school. And we said, Sheriff Bob, we've been at this a long time. You know it works. We know it works. And it's time for adult civil citations. And that time, he said yes. Not in 2018, not in 2019, not in 2020, but in 2021, he said yes. And I tell this story today because how many of you went to the Nehemiah Action for ICare last year? Come on, raise your hands. Raise your hands. Yes, very good. Most of you, very good. The ones who don't have your hands up, you should go this year. See Carol in the back after the service. You who went to the Nehemiah Action at Abyssinia Missionary Baptist Church last year for ICare, you saw Sheriff Bob. He was on the screen wearing his pretty police uniform, and what was he saying? He was talking about adult civil citations like he invented it. That after he got to yes and said yes and saw how well it worked and saw how much money he was making and saw how many fewer arrests there was, Sheriff Bob got behind this issue of justice in such a way that we were able to use him as an advocate to talk to Sheriff T.K. Waters about adult civil citations last year. And yes, that would be an appropriate time to clap. Yeah, that's right. And here's the most important part of that. 2018 felt terrible. 2019 felt terrible. Famously, 2020 felt terrible. For different reasons, and some of the same ones. But in 2021, we were actually able to make it work. And now thousands of people in Pinellas County are not being arrested, not having their lives ruined over silly nonsense. Thanks be to God. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and never give up. The word pray there in the English translations is a little bit hyper-spiritualized in our English word. It's more like they should always appeal. They should always advocate. They should always be asking and never give up. He said in a certain town, doesn't really matter which town, because in every town there's a judge like this. In a certain town, there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about what people thought. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, "Grant me justice against my adversary." For some time he refused. But finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me," I'm going to read it again. That's like the most important thing. "Yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice so that she'll quit coming back." And the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for God's chosen ones who cry out to God day and night? Will God keep putting God's children off? I tell you, God will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, where there'll still be people of faith." May God add blessings to the reading of Holy Scripture. It is hard to keep going to someone with a beautiful and vulnerable vision and get rejected. Avoiding that moment of rejection is something that all of us, in ways we understand and in ways we don't understand, in ways that are embedded in our personalities and in ways that are embedded in our family systems, we spend almost all day, every day, a little bit avoiding that moment of rejection. Right? Because the hard thing about standing in front of Sheriff Bob, in front of all those people, all of our friends, when we want to succeed, and him saying no and shame on you for asking, it's so easy to give up. Okay, fine, we can't do it. It's impossible. But in that moment of tension is when the world changes. Famously, y'all are a massively progressive church, so you've heard this quote before. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, I bet some of you can even guess what I'm going to say. The arc of the moral universe is long, but these people are great. This is a good crowd you've got here. I would add one thing to that quote. That feeling of tension, that feeling of discomfort, that vulnerability of being willing to be rejected over and over again for the sake of justice. It says in the Hebrew scriptures that the Messiah that was foretold was despised and afflicted. And like a lamb led to the slaughter, he opened not his mouth. So hard to stand in that moment. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But the feeling of it bending is tension. The feeling of it bending is tension. And so I want to leave you with two things today. Well, first is the reason that us nice, middle class, mostly white folks don't invite enough people to the Nehemiah action is because we hate the feeling of our friends telling us no. I'm going to say it again. The reason that we don't invite enough people to the Nehemiah action is because we hate the feeling of our friends, our coworkers, our family telling us no. We are hiding from that moment of rejection. But the wisdom from Jesus today, speaking into this stream of living water, is that the way we get justice is by entering into that moment of vulnerability where the persistent widow, who had no standing, who had no wealth, who had nothing but her grit and determination not to give up, went before that judge every day, and every day she said, I deserve justice. And every day the judge said, no, and shame on you for asking. Every day she went back to the judge and she said, I still deserve justice no matter what you said. And he said, no, and shame on you for asking. But day after day after day, she came before the judge. She came in that moment of vulnerability. She found the strength inside herself to demand the vision of the way that the world should be. And eventually, he said yes. So the first thing I leave you today with is you have a week before the Nehemiah action. And I want you to invite everyone you haven't invited yet because you assume they would tell you no. I want you to invite everyone you haven't invited yet because you assume they weren't interested. Make 10 people tell you no about the Nehemiah action this week. Make them look you in the eyes and say, no, your work on justice isn't important enough. Ooh, that's really uncomfortable, isn't it? Y'all feel that? Because you have to hold the tension for the world to change. You have to hold the tension for the world to change. Nobody out there cares very much, in general, broad brush, et cetera, about making justice happen for the people who are the most vulnerable, who are the most likely to be shot in Jacksonville, who are the most likely to be murdered in their homes, for the people who are most likely to be arrested, who are the most likely to experience police brutality. There is not nearly enough care in the city of Jacksonville for the people who need justice the most, which is why our rallying cry for ICare over and over again, we say it until we get annoyed hearing it ourselves, is who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because we have to care or the world will not change. We have to go into that moment of vulnerability and hold the tension of justice. Last thing, and I'll quit. The sheriff, T.K. Waters, is very likely to tell us no again this year. If he bothers to come, and we're going to really turn the screws this week to try to make that happen, he's probably going to say, no, everything is fine. The right number of people are dying in Jacksonville every year. Imagine how much worse it would be if the police weren't so great. And shame on you for asking. But we believe that 124 people, most of them under 30, most of them black, dying in our city every single year, us being the per capita murder capital of Florida, us having a 2.5 times higher murder rate than Miami, isn't good enough. And we're going to go over and over again, and we're going to demand justice, and we're going to hold the tension until the world moves, because we are the people who care. Never give up. Amen. This is one of my favorite little anthems, little hymn. It is a vision of how I'd like to see the world be. For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread. A shelter, a space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, a star overhead. For woman and man, a place at the table. Revising the roles, deciding the share. With wisdom and grace, dividing the power. For woman and man, a system that's fair. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. place at the table, a voice to be heard, a part in the song. The hands of a child in hands that are wrinkled, for young and for old, the right to belong. This may be the hardest one. For just and unjust, a place at the table, abuser abused, with need to forgive. In anger, in hurt, a mindset of mercy, for just and unjust, a new way to live. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Place at the table, a covenant shared, a welcoming space, a rainbow of race and gender and color, for gay and for straight, the chalice of grace. Place at the table, to live without fear and simply to be, to work, to speak out, to witness and worship, for everyone born the right to be free. When we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice. Justice and joy.
That was awesome and beautiful. Please rise, and will Carol come forward and extinguish the chalice as I share the benediction by Reverend Jim McGaw. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. Amen. Blessed be. Our worship has ended. Now our service begins. Thank you.